and welcome to another super exciting, informative, and the most exciting show on television, People's Voice on VOP Television, where the stories that matter most take center stage as we continue to amplify the voices, concerns, stories, and perspectives of the everyday Nigerian citizens. That's you and I. And today we are taking a critical look into the in-depth analysis, a critical look and in-depth analysis at PDP's zoning decision. Well, I am Adefunke Jaisimi. And I'm joined by my colleague today. It's a very special edition, Xavier Udo. Good afternoon, Xavier.
Good afternoon to you and welcome to the program.
All right, it's going to be a super packed show today, trust me. But what's making the headline at the moment is the fact that there's a report from Larry Olayinka, spokesperson to the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, who has said that the People's Democratic Party, PDP's decision to zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the South has come too late. Well, I'm sure you're as interested as we are right here, but let's look into some other news stories with details. As we begin with insecurity, a recent report reveals that 4,722 people were abducted and 2.57 billion naira paid to kidnappers as ransom in Nigeria between July 2024 and June 2025. The northern states, particularly Zamfara, are the worst hit. And of course, this crisis, according to reports, is fueled by poverty, weak law enforcement, and the devaluation of naira. But that's some money, over 2 billion naira paid as ransom. That looks like a very lucrative business, and this should be worrisome to the government. And everybody should be saving a country like ours, where people are battling with poverty and literally struggling for survival. But away from that story, the Obedient Movement have come to talk about their commitment to integrity, transparency, accountability in governance. This week talking about the person of Peter Obi. According to reports, supporters of the 2023 candidates of the Labour Party LP, Mr. Peter Obi, under the umbrella of the Obedience Movement, have reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to the ideals of integrity, transparency, and accountable leadership in line with Peter Obi's vision. But a lot of people have also countered that thought, talk about the coalition and of course a lot of romance that has been happening between Peter Obi and a lot of political elites. And many people are beginning to say, okay, if this was the selling point in 2023, this is, we're planning ahead of 2027 and you're talking about integrity, transparency, and accountability alongside people that you called out ahead of the 2023 election. But some people say maybe power doesn't come so easy. You might have to dine with even the devil to know what exactly you want and get what you want. But still in the news, Northern youths laud Tinubu for capture of top Ansaru commanders in the north. The Northern Youth Frontiers laud President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the National Security Advisor Nuri Badu, and the leadership of the Nigerian Armed Forces and intelligence agencies for the successful capture of two high-profile Ansaru commanders. The operation led to the arrest of Mahmoud Muhammad Usman, also known as Abu Barau, and of course, self-styled Emir of Ansaru, and his deputy, Mahmoud al-Nijeri, or Malam Mahmouda, leader of the notorious Mahmoudawa faction operating around Kainji National Park. In a statement, NYF National Coordinator Sama Musa described the arrest as a decisive blow, not just to Ansaru Central Command, but also to other terrorist groups and their enablers in Nigeria. I mean, this would definitely serve as deterrent to every other sect like that in the country. Let's move away from that story and talk about the president. Feels like the president is so optimistic and it feels like he's so certain that Nigeria is better than he met it. Maybe the reality of the president is not the reality of every other person, but the president needs to keep talking just so you know that work is being done. So he's saying this to diaspora, the people in diaspora, that we will bring Nigeria to the forefront. So here's the details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has pledged to fast-track Nigeria's development through technology and food security, aligning with the success models of emerging economies like Brazil. When he met with a cross-section of Nigerian residents in Brazil, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu emphasized his administration's commitment to transformation through innovation, reform, and inclusive growth. Well, we're here for it. We hope to see how that goes. But still in Nigeria, the Yobe State government has relocated 250 households from Garin Kolo in Nangare local government area after devastating floods destroyed homes and contaminated water sources. The exercise launched on Tuesday under the directive of Governor Mai Malabuni seeks to safeguard the lives and dignity of affected families in the state. And also in the news, the Nigerian Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Edun, says the federal government is prioritizing the creation of a conducive environment for global encouragement for people across the globe. And most importantly, Nigerians abroad. Bring your money home. Come and invest back home. We need to grow this economy together. But that's the much we can take on the news at this hour. It's time to talk about some of these news stories. The number to call to be a part of this conversation is 090-447-32605. 090-447-32605 is the number to call us via WhatsApp to share your thoughts and be a part of the conversation. And you can follow us on social media at VOPTV, and use the hashtag People's Voice on VOPTV to be a part of the conversation. And on YouTube, we have Voice of the People Television. Kindly hit the subscribe button, and together we can make our voices heard. It's time to go on a break now. When we return, we'll come to talk about the People's Democratic Party. I don't want to use the words on the street, but as they say, People's Democratic Party is about the reigning party now. Reigning, I'm not saying winning, because there are two different things in the political space where everyone is talking about you, and it's a totally different ball game where you get to win elections. But we come to talk about the PDP and, of course, the fact that the spokesperson of Wike'S, or maybe senior assistant, coming to say that it's too late for the PDP to zone the presidency to the south. How late can this be? We'll talk about this after the break. Please stay tuned. Glad to have you still with the People's Voice on VOP Television this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. So we're talking about the PDP zoning the presidency to the south. But in response to this, Larry Olayinka, spokesperson to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has said that the People's Democratic Party, PDP's decision to zone its presidential ticket in 2027 to the south has come too late. Olayinka argued that had the party listened to Nyesom Wike and other aggrieved members before the 2023 elections, the PDP would not be in its current crisis. It is too late because we had the chance of doing the right thing 3 years ago, and that did not happen. We did not do that, Olayinka said. For instance, if we had agreed with him, talked about Nyesom Wike, probably the party wouldn't be where it is today. Head is off already. We are crying. What we should have done 3 years ago, we did not do. He recalled that in 2022, Nyesom Wike and his G5 allies had demanded that the PDP zone its ticket to the south, arguing that fairness required a southern candidate since the then President Muhammadu Buhari is a northerner, and it was, of course, completing his tenure. Olayinka also noted that the PDP has now faced a tougher political reality ahead of the 2027 election. The second thing that is too late is that you are now saying the president should come from the south, but the issue is that another party that is in power has its candidate too from the same south, and that candidate would have spent 4 years in office and will have another 4 years more to spend, he said. Now, you're presenting your southern candidate to the north. Will they not agree with a candidate that is starting afresh, a candidate that would probably want to go for second term if he wins in 2031, or a candidate that only has 4 years to spend, he added. The PDP recently resolved to zone its presidential tickets to the south ahead of the 2027 general election, a move critics such as Olayinka argue may have yielded the desired results given the party's previous missteps. Meanwhile, to address the concerns surrounding the North's preference for a candidate who would spend 4 years in power, the PDP is believed to be cutting former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and the Labour Party presidential candidate in 2023, Peter Obi. Having served as president, the Nigerian constitution allows Jonathan to spend 4 more years to complete an 8-year term, while Obi, in his recent rhetoric, promised a single term of 4 years if given the opportunity to lead the country. According to Abba Moro, the PDP senator representing Benue South, some individuals have been speaking with Peter Obi and the former president about their possible return to the party. He added that if Obi returns to the party, he might get the PDP's presidential ticket. Well, he has said that as an individual, we don't know what will happen with the party, but as always, it's never a one-man show on People's Voice. It's time to get talking. It's time to get deeper analysis into this topic, and we are now being joined in the studio by Mr. Ubong Thompson, journalist and public affairs analyst of Refuge. Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson, and welcome to People's Voice.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Well, what a time to be alive in Nigeria. I'm sure you agree with me, because the political dynamics are not even settled. 1 minute you are calculating is going this way, the next minute the dynamics are changing, and the permutations are not even permutating, as they say on the street. But before I go into questions, let me get your reaction on this thoughts shared by Larry Olayinka.
Well, it's good to note that PDP has been able to put their house in order after most people might have thought they are going to disintegrate, or we won't have any party to call PDP anymore. But because of the commitment that the state governors that we have in PDP now has for the party, they have been able to call all of them together, and for what we have seen, then we still have hope that Nigeria is not a one-party system, and PDP should not be underrated in any way, because they still have about 9 state governors to play with, and they have been a party that have been on ground, and they are still on ground. So APC, has to work harder and harder in order not to, the whole state out of power. So whatsoever Larry Olayinka has said, probably he might have come too late as well, because there is no time that is too late for, as long as election is about to, has not taken place yet. We still have about 2026 from now to 2026, about 2 years. So the party can still find its footage and then see how they can coast into victory in the nearest future. But coming from the heads to the Federal Capital Minister, I doubt if he has any good intention for the party. It's just a way of, having to accept a kind of defeat, because certainly his party or his
allegiance, because it's not about party now. They are supposed to be PDP members, but they are working with the All Progressives Congress.
FCT minister is no longer, as we speak, playing full-time PDP membership politics any longer. As long as we know, it's more, up to, him to declare his stand where he stands.
Okay, so Mr. Obong, you talked about his allegiance now, which I want us to really look into.
Right.
First, when you're talking about Wike'S allegiance, he only said he had issues with some particular people in the party and how some things were done, right? Now, if you're talking about allegiance, are you actually saying that it is wrong that you are in a particular party and a particular party who actually won an election, okay, and they are now at the helm of the affairs of the administration, appointing you because you are not in their party? Is it wrong to actually serve?
Well, it might not be wrong, okay, to serve, but the fact is that there's something we always call conflict of interest.
Right.
You cannot carry you cannot climb a ladder with loads in your 2 hands. So there is no how FCT Minister Nyesom Wike will be able to play APC party and then PDP at the same time, taking very, very cognizant to the fact that the president in which he is supporting, he also said in many occasions that he will also support anybody that is supporting the president for re-election. So if we can,
okay. So I think if we need to reply that, I know Wike is still aggrieved, of course, and he's not the only one in the party. Okay, so we still have other aggrieved members of the party, and you talking about PDP trying to fix their own now. Is this timely? This particular meetings they've been doing, is this meeting timely, or don't you think they've actually lost their chance?
Well, if they cannot, emerge victorious in the forthcoming election in 2027, then at least they have started a journey of rebuilding and reconstituting themselves, and then re-strategizing. The most important thing is that they have taken that step, to build the party once again and have a formidable team to be able to stand in any election. So
Right.
with time to come, if they can't pull any string during 2027 election, they still have other time to.
Well, let me come in there. If you talk about 2027 election, I think that there's so much that the PDP still needs to do ahead of 2027 elections, because in a very short time, they've lost a lot of governors. With the number of governors they have, you would still agree that they are still the major opposition in Nigeria. But you talked about the PDP, the APC not underrating the PDP, forgetting that we also have a strong third force, a supposed strong third force, which is the coalition. The coalition is standing on a side, and the obedient movement have not totally signed their allegiance to the coalition, and they are still standing strong. We know how they were able to pull votes for Peter Obi in 2023. So should PDP be the main concern of the All Progressives Congress, or should the All Progressives Congress not be wary of the chances of losing persons and trust to different bodies? I mean, at the end of the day, if they lost trust to people in the coalition, and some people go to PDP and some people go to the Labour Party, don't you think that at the end of the day, the ball is still coming back to the All Progressives Congress?
Well, I think with the current developmental stride by the president, if very stringent measures are not put in place to see how to solve some, issues or challenges that is facing Nigerians, the APC as a party will have itself to blame, because the voting strength of Nigeria does not depend only on the political elite or the political class.
Right.
And you see most investment that the APC as a government is investing, they are busy investing on individuals, not the people this time around. And these are, it is.
Well, when you say individuals, we like clarity for the sake of those watching. When you say the APC is investing on individuals, what do you mean? You
see the subsidy reinvestment, the excess subsidy revenue being made by this government. What have they got to do with it? You see the palliative they are talking about, most Nigerians are not even seeing the palliatives. The key thing that the president has done is to make sure he allocate more funds to the state governors. So I would have believed this fund should go directly to impact the masses. You talk of, when you look at what the former President Goodluck Jonathan did when he removed subsidy. We heard of subsidy reinvestment program, acquiring, long mass transit buses, to make sure that it augments transportation for.
Well, when you talk about this, because these are events in the news that are our reality at the time, and at the end of the day, Nigerians were, maybe we are used to crying, but even with what you've said that Jonathan did, a lot of complaints were out there. If people want to cite the case of, there was a protest led by the leaders of the All Progressives Congress, you agree that a lot of Nigerians were a part of that protest who don't have any identity under any political party. When this subsidy was removed, we saw the plans of the CNG buses that were invested across states. So in replication of what Jonathan did, this administration has replicated that. And of the part of investing in states, you talk about giving money or empowering individuals. Shouldn't Nigerians hold politicians accountable across board? Because this problem is not peculiar to the All Progressives Congress. There is no governor, whether APC, PDP, Labour Party, or even people in the House of Representatives, that have not benefited from this excess fund. So is the anger about Nigerians towards the All Progressives Congress, or Nigerians not understanding where to channel their energy to?
You see, the fundamentals, we have to look at the fundamentals. What is the basic responsibility of any government is to solve the challenges that its people faces. If Nigerians are facing hunger problem, electricity problem, power problem, and other challenges, then the federal government has the
Sorry, Mr. Obong, let me hold your thoughts. We have a call. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to People's Voice.
Hello, this is Aide on the line, calling you from Lagos.
Welcome to the show.
Now, I want to please permit me to take it step by step, because the Wike issue, the Wike saying that the PDP have lost, that it's coming too late. I totally support Wike area.
Yeah.
What do you expect him to do? To leave where he's enjoying, to go to a party that relatively have no future. If you were in his shoes, what would you do? Despite how betrayed he feels, I believe right now PDP should be PDP. Well, let's see what God can do with him, but it's all a function of who they brings as their next candidate. Now, let's go back then. Your second question about the achievement of or the revenue the Tinubu have spent in the states.
Right.
Now, can I ask you a question, please? Do you permit me to ask you a question?
Please go ahead.
Now, I want us to imagine Alex Oti, Governor Mba, these two governors, replicate them in 30 states out of the 36 states of the federal government. I want you to imagine the massive development without the presence of federal government. So who will you blame? Are you blaming?
No, I don't understand. Can you come again?
Now, I'm saying Alex Oti,
right,
for Abia State, the governor of Abia State, Governor Mba, who are from our record, they are the best performing governors. Now, I want you to replicate these two governors in 30 states out of our 36 states. I want you to imagine the massive development that will come into Nigeria without the presence of the federal government. So, are you now blaming Tinubu for giving them more fund or the inefficiencies of our governors? Who are you to blame? Thirdly, now let's go to the north. Let's now analyze the north. I have never seen in the whole world, out of the 149 countries in the whole world, where a governor or where a member or elected officers will come to a source, take fund, take it back to their state without giving any account, and you expect that community to develop. Believe me, that is chasing a ghost. No society can ever grow like that, and as long as Nigeria continue practicing what I term the Bambiala method, where a governor that it has its internal revenue, state internal revenue not accounted for, now still come to the federal government, collect money, still even collect loan, and nobody is accounting for it, and you expect that state and that community to grow, I bet you it's a life from the pit of hell. So as long as we continue this method, please don't blame Tinubu, but I only advise him to please cut these SSCs. The governors are really abusing these SSCs. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. And of course, we totally agree with you. Only that I'd like to know where you got that statistics from. You can rate Alex Oti as best performing because of how terrible governance has been in Abia State. But some people have been enjoying the dividend of democracy. So what looks like success in Abia might look like what a local government chairman should do in other states in the country. But I would like you to react to his opinion.
We are not, particularly blaming the president. What we are saying, just like he said, is that the governors has the allocation that we're giving to them. And I believe the president would have stood by that previous, allocation. Why, they understand most of this money being spent in the past government directly to the governor don't end up, going to the grassroots. So there would have been a different approach towards.
So at the end of the day, you are still saying the same thing. What approach? Because what I understand about governance is that there are 3 tiers of government, and one is not supposed to interfere in the other. Only that they are supposed to be supporting, or maybe oversee.
What are we talking about?
We have the local government. We have the local. Hold on, sir.
Provision of power.
Oh, hold on.
Which is vested in the federal government to provide power to the citizen. We are talking about insecurity. It is the job of the federal government to provide security for Nigerians. There's a saying
the new electricity bill that was proposed and was signed when they were talking about decentralizing how power generation happens, and a lot of states adopted it. As a matter of fact, states have started investing in providing their own power. The truth is, we talk about federalism, we talk about decentralizing power, but when it comes to accountability, we want to make a case for some and judge some. It's a major problem in this part of the world, which will never let us get to where we want to go to. As much as you want to talk about insecurity, it is solely the job of the federal government. But for every government, for everybody that signs, that takes a oath of office, it is your responsibility as a number one citizen, either of the state or the federal, the nation, to protect
the laws
the
that
people.
we have in Nigeria does not, permit that.
So how have the
we
governor...
call the president as the chief and commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic. He is in charge of all the security apparatus. The governors cannot, at any given time, when there is maybe an emergency situation, call on any, commissioner of police and instruct and order the commissioner of police to take action on any case, except through the federal government. So these are the challenges. The law itself, impaired a kind of development in the system. It does not allow things to move freely as it's supposed to move. So you find out that, some states want to develop their own power plants, but they have to take a lot of permission from the federal government. They want to develop
They've been given the power to do that already. If it is power, they've given...
It can be said maybe on paper, but when it has to do with the bureaucratic, system, it takes a whole lot.
But I like the fact that my guest, the guest just talked about the Southeast.
Okay, I want to mention something to you, sir. Aide called and he asked these questions. And he actually stated, he mentioned 2 governors, okay, as his example. So are you saying that the president should reduce or even stop the funding
to the governors and take the full responsibility of all the states?
Do you understand? And take full responsibility of all the states. I just want to know.
That is not what I'm saying.
Okay.
That is different from what I'm saying. Because what we have here, we are having a national emergency on power.
Sorry, we have to take. Let me hold your thoughts again, Mr. Obong. We have a call. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling
This is still the Aine calling you back. Please, can I ask your analyst a certain question?
Easier, go ahead.
Now, let us take that when OT assumed, I want to use OT as a case study. When OT assumed office in April 29, within a week or two, there was security issues. Immediately, he ordered for buses and for Helios buses. That was Toyota Helios buses, about 40 Toyota Helios buses, if my records are right. Empower the army to take that's for easy mobility. And believe me, within months or two, that state became calm. The threat of all those evil boys, they ran away. This is what a governor should do. Be proactive. Tell me how many governors have equipped the security forces to be mobile in these states than crying foul. When the funds, if we are not even talking about the security money allocated to them, the security fund they take it as their personal money. How much have they done to improve security than blaming the federal government, deceiving us that security is the sole responsibility of the federal government, which is not true. Secondly, let us now go to the power you mentioned. I want to still talk to your analyst. A very good example is Bayelsa. Bayelsa Doledri have signed a contract that has imported power plant that by December this year, the Bayelsa will have uninterrupted power supply, and he has almost metered the whole community. This is somebody that is willing to work. But do you know there are still some governors that have not even done anything and still even receiving more money than government of Bayelsa, and still the citizens are not feeling this impact? Then at the end of the day, every blame goes on Tinubu. Tell me, how fair can this be? Please let your analyst talk to me so I can talk. I'm talk to him then. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. He's going to respond to you. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
These are rare cases, in a country that we have about 36 states and the federal capital territory. You've just mentioned about 2 cases.
Yeah, he mentioned the 2 cases as the reality of what should be happening. He is saying that if these governors are doing it based on what they are getting from the federal, so why are we making case for the other ones?
But what we have now is a national, issue. And you have just parts of 3 states, probably investing in power or
investing in security,
making good use of their allocations. This is supposed to cut across all the whole state. For us to be able to know that something meaningful is going on.
So, sir, is it an individual thing?
So why are you exactly? I'm trying to get clarity.
Yes,
so why are you to blame that I'm giving you money? It's just like a father sending 3 children to school. 2 are succeeding.
2 are succeeding.
One decides to be unfortunate, and you are making a case for that child, saying that
It is the
father that is
fault.
a failure.
So that's what I want to ask. Is it an individual
even
thing?
in the same family, at the end of the day, it's still the father that will still get the blame.
Wow.
You'll be told you did not train your children, properly. And if you have given them, proper home training, they will grow just like you, and do the needful. So the blame will still go back to the center.
Well, as much as I would not be responsible for my child's success because my children will not fail. They are succeeding because they are raised to succeed and they want to succeed. But let's not deviate from the original conversation. Let's go back to the PDP issues. And I know we got here from relating Jonathan's approach to governance to what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing. Let's look at the PDP's actions and the impact on the 2027 elections, what chances they have. Do you think that zoning the presidency to the south will boost or hinder PDP's electoral prospect? Looking at what Larry Olayinka cited, that the present president is from the south, is going to be ending a 4-year term by that 2027 and automatically will be running because, he has not said in any way that he will not be running for a second time. As a matter of fact, the conversations are already ongoing.
Where have you ever heard that the wrong ones?
So looking at that, and coupled with the fact that a lot of people have said this, even when Ken Okonkwo, the former spokesperson for Peter Obi in the Labour Party, came out to talk about the coalition, he also said that unseating a southern president will be difficult by another southern candidate. And looking at all of this put together, don't you think it is actually too late for the PDP to make this decision? And do you think making this decision at the time, they have chances of winning elections in 2027, or they just want to be on the ballot to remain the strongest formidable opposition?
Well, just like I said earlier, the PDP as a political party, they have their own strategy on ground. And as it stands, every party will tell you they want to win the forthcoming election. So nobody will give in or easily give in, as we speak. So they have their strategy fully prepared to, and this will depend on how they go about the businesses of bringing people together in the nearest future. And if they can put their heads together, reconcile all the aggrieved parties, and then reach out to all those that have left the party to return back, and then surely they will form a very, very, formidable party to withstand, or to work against this, to oppose this present government. But just like you said, if they float a certain candidate, it might have some level of impediment in their progress. Because, you have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming from the south, and who are you looking at, coming out from the PDP? Let's say former President Goodluck Jonathan.
Or Peter Obi.
Then Richard Makinde. These are all the candidates that are prospective. But what I would say, Goodluck Jonathan can play a major factor. But that would only be if the obedient movement decide to, collaborate with this Goodluck Jonathan movement. And anything outside that, I don't see any, headway in the,
You don't think Peter Obi is a candidate to beat?
Well, Peter Obi, the appreciation so far, that we have concerning Peter Obi, by the day is, declining as we speak, because of if President Goodluck Jonathan should come in, he has already established a lot of followership up north and already here in the south as well. Then cut across the north central,
belt, right?
Middle belt or so. So you can see him, coasting to victory if that happens, and all the actors, rally around him. It's possible he can, spring a surprise.
Okay, so let's talk about this particular aggrieved members. I know PDP is really trying. They're doing all their possible best to fix their house, right? But now, while fixing this house, the Northerners now, they're actually kicking against this South zoning. I believe you should have seen it in the news that they are also against it as we speak. The PDP members in the North. Some of them. They said they don't want the presidential candidate to come from the South. Why would you zone it outrightly to the South? You understand? I think if they want to go by the explanation that Larry talked about, okay, we have President Tinubu who has done 4 years and he still wants to go. Bringing someone from the south, of course, that's another problem. And the north, they can't wait to go back to that particular power. Okay? They can't wait to go back to that seat.
So it feels like 2031 is too far.
Do you understand? That's what they're feeling. So in this issue, while you feel the PDP wants to settle with their aggrieved members, now they are already brooding new trouble. They are already causing new issues with their party. So that means that we would have PDP South coming together, okay, having their settlement, and the northern PDP, what will they do?
No, so I don't want us to totally say the northern PDP. Even the north is actually divided.
I mentioned something earlier here that PDP has a strong footage across the country, irrespective of the latest decamping from PDP to APC and so on. Traditionally, you still have a lot of PDP members, or most of the people in APC today are all from PDP, or mostly PDP members. So they are core PDP members. So if
you don't count those that they come to the ADC as core PDP members, you feel APC is the only problem PDP has.
Yeah, the whole.
But some of them
ADC is like an Atiku. And Atiku has a strong followership too.
Atiku has a strong followership, but the chances, what the PDP are looking at, I believe they know what they are doing. And I keep saying, maybe they are targeting former President, Goodluck Jonathan to represent.
Okay, sorry, let's have this conversation around Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Do you see Jonathan as someone that would contest in 2027?
Well, nothing is possible because
Jonathan was the first incumbent government in this Fourth Republic to lose election. Pick up his phone, called the winner of that election,
the final
congratulated him, came on air to tell us that the blood of Nigerians, no Nigerians' blood is what his own ambition. Yes. And we saw the drama with Orubebe at the collation center that day. It was a show of shame. One would have thought that there was a movement from there, but everything went down because one man chose his peace ahead of whatever the party wanted or the people wanted. So Jonathan that has gotten that kind of acceptance.
Would that man leave his peace and come back to this particular
Africa, even outside Africa, you see when they're talking about peace talks, they're talking about election. Jonathan is that ambassador that everybody wants to talk to.
And that is the main reason why I suggest the international organization, up country north and so on, even appealing to him. I suggest to recontest for another 4 years, in Nigeria, because we really need to put things in order in this country, as a matter of fact. So some few months back, we heard some Northerners, calling on Jonathan to return, to return back to contest for election. So these are the growing concern across board.
Okay, Mr. Okay, we lost that.
So I want to ask you this question. It seems like you have so much faith in the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
I do not have. I'm just
you've been given different submissions over his case, right? So I want to ask you this direct question: between Jonathan and Peter Obi, who do you think has the upper hand in winning, or even a strong contender, being a strong contender against the sitting president?
Well, politics goes beyond what we can imagine or see, and
it's spiritual.
It has to do with, the conscience.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson. Let me hold your thoughts again. Our guest is back on the line. Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, dear.
Yeah,
good afternoon. Now, this is still Aide calling you from Lagos. I want to disagree with your analyst. Why? If you watch every year, even during the Buhari election, they touted Jonathan to come back, every election, they have always touted Jonathan to come back. And believe me, mark my word, just as I have always said it and it always happened, I don't see Jonathan coming back because it will be an insult and everything. Now, if you look at the people in the north, I watched the video, the people on the north calling him to come back. Look into the fray. What is the quality of the politician? What quality of people asking him to come back? I didn't see any notable person. They were just a group of people that nobody even knows their name, held the microphone and bleeded with him. So these people relatively have no political value. You understand? To shake the table. So I don't see Jonathan coming back. And if he wants to come back, it will be really an insult. Now, let's go back to Peter B. I told Mr. Okoro last week that he should mark my word. And it always happens. Mark my word. If Peter B does not take time very well, he might not have a formidable party to run in 2027. Because the way things are going, they are gradually pushing him off scheme. Because if he said the APC will not perform well, look at the popularity of APC in the last election and the popularity as of today. Tell me who can beat that popularity as of today. Let's know who will beat that popularity as of today.
Are you speaking for the president, Mr. Aide?
We are talking about
I am telling you. See,
hunger in the land.
Okay.
Insecurity, kidnapping. Who is going to solve all this problem? APC has been there for the past 8 years, and they are doing 2 years now, and one single issue has not been able to resolve. He said, a leader should be able to resolve one out of many issues, plaguing the country. If it is the educational sector, as he is about to go on strike, if they are even on strike.
Let me get your final thoughts before we end this call so that we can continue the conversation in the studio. Okay, it's out. Let me respond to that. As much as I do not speak for the president, but from the place of a journalist who is a seasoned researcher, you can't outrightly say that this administration has not done anything. As a matter of fact, history has it across the globe. Every government has a focus. No matter how much you call them out, there's always one thing that administration is succeeding at, and they cannot have it all figured out. When you talk about how much the government has done in 2 years, there is the part of insecurity that is ravaging our communities, which has been a lot of concern for people. And this thing has been happening over and over again. And it has become a campaign slogan for everybody. The next person wants to come and talk about insecurity. The first person wants to come and talk about how Jonathan did not secure the country enough and all that. So let me ask you this now. Are you saying that the sins of Jonathan, or everything that we felt Jonathan was not good enough for, are suddenly forgotten? Because it feels like that's how we are in Nigeria. Every new day, Obasanjo now is like this role model for politicians in Nigeria.
Someone actually said that as soon as as soon as a particular president leaves, you start to miss the previous one, and when you get a new one.
You see, I wouldn't be speaking to defend President Goodluck Jonathan, because neither do I even want him to return, as a president, because he had his own time, he had the opportunity to have transformed Nigeria, but he couldn't. As a matter of fact, though he tried his own best, but the best was not good enough. And that is also what is happening presently. The best has to be good enough for the country. Nigeria is giants of Africa.
But you are suggesting the candidates of the PDP.
Strategically build their nation. Gradually they evolve, and they have a nation that people now want to run to. For instance, we are about running to Brazil to go and ask for them to come for him to come and invest in Nigeria. These are the same countries that grew alongside with us.
The MOUs. Okay, so again, the MOU signed in Brazil. There's the part of business. There's the part of energy. There's the part of aviation and all that. And the MOUs. So hold on. The MOUs were not even particularly beneficial to the presidency's office. We saw a collaboration between Brazil and Nigeria, and of course it did not limit it to the Minister of Aviation or the ministry. There's a direct partnership between businesses now, and EPIS was able to claim that. I mean, that's the sole business in Nigeria that will be doing that alongside with Brazil. Are we going to just look for alternative, or the richness of value that comes with these people? Because I want us to really spell it out. It's okay to zone the ticket to the south. Who are we looking at? What stands these people out? You have already talked about not wanting Jonathan, already. But the alternatives we have, Peter Obi, Seyi Makinde. What can we say about these people?
Yeah, these are young minds, and as we speak, Nigerians are asking for youth slots. A lot of Nigerians are looking at young, politicians to come
young
on board.
People like the former governor of Kogi said that we are not so proud of. Yaya Bello was so young.
Yeah, it's one.
At this point, I need to tell you to reduce your mic.
One in a million case, I may say so. One in a million case. You don't have it all over. These are exceptional cases, of youth misbehaving in government, in leadership. So but for long we have been giving, power to all these old politicians.
Old people, right?
And believe me, they'll keep recycling themselves, all around. Imagine what the president said in Brazil, that Nigeria can win any war outside Nigeria. But within Nigeria, we've been plagued with war for so long, we've not been able to resolve it, which means it's an intentional, war that we are fighting.
Yeah, the state of the nation is actually worrisome.
So I'm looking at, leadership that can solve problems, give solution to challenges that the country is being plagued with. And those are the kind of mind. You look at President Trump, how he's being decisive in taking decision, making sure that the citizen come first in everything. He tried to make sure that he cut down on, his country being used as whatsoever by, foreign.
Unfortunately, some of his citizens are still protesting against the government.
I was almost
and even being sued by even his own cabinet people.
Of course, because when you say Jonathan time, okay, there were some things that he did or his tenure was not good enough. Now you're talking about President Tinubu, that whatsoever he's doing now is not good enough. You talked about the insecurity.
Hungry,
you understand?
We are hungry.
Yes. You talked about the insecurity situation. We just read in our headlines here where the youths are actually appreciating the president because of the Ansaro commanders that they actually
but that's
arrested.
Not enough.
No, I know it is not still enough.
Is that enough?
Okay, fine. It's not enough. You mentioned Donald Trump. Do you know that presently Donald Trump is also facing his own people's backlash? But away from all of that, my colleague talked about the coalition group, okay, which I want you to look into. Now, I believe the coalition, with the way they've seen the PDP movement, I believe they want to leave their presidential candidates in the north. And we all know that it will be Atiku. I'm saying, okay, but should in case it is Atiku, let me try and say it in that way.
Okay.
So
you want Mr. Ogo to vote here?
No, we're not starting our vote.
You want him to tell you his candidate?
But of course, no. With the way we're seeing the coalition movement, you understand, we can actually see their projection. So, but do you think that the coalition impact might affect the PDP in any way, against the 2027 race?
I think what would actually repeat itself will be the same case we had in 2023. Where the APC as a government, emerged, ahead of other Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. It will be a repeat of, if that happened, it will be a repeat of, 2023 election, because the coalition, and what I would have proposed to the coalition would have been to see how to synergize with the PDP. They should form one block.
Exactly. If they really want to change
things.
Going
to the election, challenging the APC. You understand? So if that happens, it means every other political parties will,
align with the coalition.
Align with the coalition to be able to challenge the incumbent president. And before that is when you can actually say any.
But don't you think the coalition should be the one wooing the PDP? I mean, the PDP is too big to go to the coalition.
I think the reason why the coalition is not wooing anybody is because of their own zoning. Okay? Indirectly, it is getting clear on a daily basis that they are not willing to zone anything to the south. Maybe it is their will I call it strategy? But of course, that's what their projection looks like.
The coalition definitely are depending on the strength of the bloc of the former President Buhari, which now has been transferred into probably some people said El-Rufai is supposed to head that movement. Now, Atiku Abubakar has been in PDM. He has been contesting as a president, right from 1993 or thereabout. So it hasn't been today. So he has a strong support base as well. So the coalition are very much, hopeful on their strength, up north there, and then probably couples of southern states to see if they can, coast to victory.
All right, thank you so much for that particular cutting edge. I think it's well to draw the cutting close here. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Of course, thank you so much, Mr. Obaga. Thank you so much, Savior, for doing this together. Well, that's how we wrap up the show on People's Voice today. It's been an interesting show talking about the PDP and the political landscape in Nigeria at the moment. But until next time, my name is Adefunke Jayesimi, and
my name remains